Welcome to the Leadership Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Jono White. I'm the founder and principal consultant of Clarity. We are an Australian-based consultancy that works with leaders around the world, and our passion is to invest in people to become everything they're meant to be in order to fill the world with healthy organizations that people love to work for and customers line up to buy from. The goal of this podcast is to invest in you and your leadership. If you're just joining us for the first time, then feel free to check out consultclarity.org. That's our website, consultclarity.org. We have so many free resources on there. The most popular being our 7 Questions on Leadership series. We've had more than 1,500 leaders from around the world in all different sectors give their in-depth answers on leadership, what books they love, what they found most challenging, the most meaningful stories, how they structure their time through the day. That's free, so go and check it out. And we'd love to interview you about your leadership. I believe you have advice from your experience, your context, and your life so far that is important and can help other leaders. It's also a great way to give back. It's free to get involved, and you can do so by going to consultclarity.org/7-questions-interest, or just Google consultclarity.org 7 questions interest and fill out the form that pops up. We have a free resource for you on our website. It's called Leadership Survival Guide. It's a 57-page ebook. It has interviews with 10 world-class leaders, and you can go to consultclarity.org. It's right at the top, and get that today. We also have a daily email that we send out to over 15,000 leaders, and that email contains the highlights, our best content from our podcasts, our blog, my book, the books that we're loving that are out there about leadership. It's also the best way to get access to our masterclasses and workshops before anyone else. And there's also exclusive and limited special options just for subscribers. And you can subscribe by going to consultclarity.org/subscribe. Now, my gift to you is to work incredibly hard to provide the best leadership content I can to invest in you and your leadership. So if you're finding our content helpful, if you find this podcast helpful, then your gift to me could be this. If you do find it helpful, then write a review or rate our content and make sure you subscribe or follow. I can't emphasize enough how helpful that is. It really does help us to get the word out there so we can invest in more leaders to become everything they're meant to be. It also means a lot to me personally when people like you and people in our community share our content on social media. So if you do that, then please do look for me, Jono White, to tag me, and look to tag Clarity on whatever platform you're on. And our team, including me, I'm always looking to see when people have mentioned us so that I can engage with you. And also, we look at sharing content. So if you write something about something we've done, there's also a good chance we'll share that with our followers. So if you could do that, that is a massive, massive help as we try to invest in as many leaders as we can around the world. Last of all, you can check out my book about how to deal with difficult people even if you hate conflict. It's called Step Up or Step Out. It's available on Amazon. You can just look up Step Up or Step Out Jono White, or you can go to store.consultclarity.org/book and check it out there. I have coached leader after leader after leader, and in more than 50% of the sessions, this topic comes up. How do I deal with this person? I'm finding it really difficult, and I just want to find a way that doesn't blow up to do just to have a difficult conversation, to lead them better. How do I do that? There's a 3-step process that I outline in this book that I believe can help you. Okay, let's get into today's episode of the Leadership Conversations podcast. Enjoy. Welcome to another episode of the Leadership Conversations podcast. Today's guest is Jordi Manier. And Jordi, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jono. Thank you very much. My pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I'm looking forward to our chat. So first of all, can you tell everyone a little bit about what you do at the moment? And also, I know it's a little bit of a transitional time in terms of finishing up and moving moving around. But yeah, tell us a little bit about the organization you've been leading for the past 9 years and a bit about what's coming next.
Excellent. So in the last 9 years, I've been leading one of the companies of a French multinational that's called ARaymond. I've been leading this for the EMEA market, and we've been quite successful. Quite successful, I need to say. No. Now what we are doing is to realign the strategy of this company plus a different company from the network, and focusing on sustainability market, especially in the energies solar market.
Yeah, fantastic. So I always love hearing people's stories. For you, as you think back to childhood, are there any moments from growing up that really shaped you to become the leader you are today?
I would say that when I've done some executive coaching, they've always told me about my sense of responsibility. And when I deep dive on my childhood regarding the sense of responsibility, first of all, I'm the older brother of three brothers, and at a certain point of time, I realized that I needed to support at home, and therefore I did my best to become a very good student since the beginning. I also had the chance to go to a school that was quite demanding, and therefore I think this really marked my childhood, no? And in some way, the leitmotif was do whatever you want, but bring your maximum potential on the table, no? And this feeling of doing your best for you, for supporting at home, for enabling a better future for the ones that surround you. I think this came with my soul, and I'm trying to bring this in the organizations that I'm leading. No? Try to bring the best out of the whole colleagues, out of myself. Try to be a role model there, and to support the company, but mainly the people to develop and to achieve their best image of themselves. No? Let's say.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you, I guess as you grow older, do you remember the first time you really had a chance to lead? I know leadership is influence, so it's a lot of things, but do you remember your first opportunity where you thought, wow, here's a chance to lead a project or to manage people, and what was that like for you?
I think that beyond the typical situations we all have in school or universities, I think the first time I really realized that I had a kind of intuitive feeling, because at that moment I didn't really know how to do it in the right way, but at least I had an intuitive natural feeling to lead, was in my first company. It was a relatively small and new company, just maybe 1 year old, but we were already like 40 people, and there I was around 25 years old, and I started leading some small organizations, so small teams, with very little coaching from the managing director, because remember we were like a type of a startup, and then really I had to lead by learning, by mistaking, and but at the same time I felt like I had some kind of respect from the people that I was leading. They were at the beginning a bit surprised from my age, no, on one time, but then really I don't know why and how at that moment, but I was putting the right feet on the ground to support the colleagues to develop, to in some way I felt like, okay, I'm young, but still I'm respected, no? So this might be leadership, this might be some leadership, no? But it was kind of first experience. I was very naive, no, in my understanding how business works and how
Yeah.
people motivation work, but it was totally intuitive. It was really nothing planned, nothing thought, and I was not even aware, no? I was step by step developing these leadership competencies and skills.
What did you learn? Were there any lessons that stand out in your memory that you really learned from that first time where you were young and you're leading? Anything that really stood out as a lesson you learned?
Yeah, I would say there were two key lessons, no? Or three key lessons. Let me go three key lessons. The first one was on the managing director. The managing director was a kind of mentor to me. He was relatively young, like 35, 36 years old at that moment, but very senior. It looked to me like very senior. And this person was leading by letting us a big autonomy, really a big autonomy, big trust, big autonomy. I was managing on my side, for example, just 1 year after joining, I was already managing a small manufacturing plant for the automotive sector. I was 26 years old and I was already leading like 50 people, and I was doing in a very autonomous way. No, so imagine, no, you are leading several million euros, a complex operation for a very demanding sector, and the person was trusting in me. That he was not even overseeing the operation. He was too much busy in other areas. So I was there. I was the one leading the whole organization, and really this helped me gain a lot of confidence. No, and so the first leadership lesson I got there was when you are declared from your superior, no, from your own manager or leader, significant trust on your capacity, you are really giving the best. So that would be a first one. No? A
Yeah.
second one is also in maybe should I go in a couple of more, John, as you want.
Yeah, yeah, no, please do. That's great. These are wonderful.
Okay, excellent. So a second one was in that team, in that organization I was leading, there was an engineer as well working with me and reporting to me. And in some way, one of my competencies is to be able to anticipate a bit the future. No, this capacity of looking a bit ahead. And then in my mind, I had like a kind of plan, no, maybe a couple, like a 2 years plan, but it was on my mind, no, and everything was like step one, step two, step three. I don't know, 10 steps that was delivering a certain success, no. But I was losing the person. I was really losing the motivation of the person, the visibility. The person didn't really understand where we were heading, no. And then I received a kind of mentorship advice that you can lead towards an end that might be in your mind. You can even visualize and describe this end for the colleagues. But sometimes you need a kind of waypoints, no, intermediate points that colleagues can anchor to in order to understand where are we going. First of all, the steps that we are doing, but also to get these kind of waypoints that re-energize the team. No, it's like you have reached this waypoint that maybe it's 10% of the road, and this 10% of the road deserves success. So you really celebrate this success. You re-energize. You regather your oxygen, and then you go for the next 10%. No? So don't expect. No? My learning was don't wait for reaching the 100% to celebrate, to go, but describe these intermediate points, celebrate them, and this will re-energize the whole team. No? Let's say. I think this was also very very interesting. And let me share a third one also in this
Yeah.
first
Yep.
period of my professional life,
Please.
which is very personal. I have not shared this too much with almost anybody, but at that moment, I was, when you are a capable leader and you are doing a good job and you show your competence, the work and the assignments and even more complex assignments really flies to you. No, you become like a magnet for getting more work. And when you combine this with a lot of responsibility and this willingness of having an impact and so on, and the juniority that I had at that moment, it can become like a non-stopping flow. So I was getting more and more work, more and more, working 12, 14, 16, 18 hours a day, every day, every day, every day. And this really burned me out. because I could not really perceive this as a kind of hey, Jordi, you need to take care of yourself. You need to learn to say no. You need to select. You need to delegate more.
Yeah.
This combination of sense of responsibility over work, doing a good work, etc., can be a very negative spiral. And then I got burned out at the point that I was I'm leaving because I cannot. No? And then okay, we reorient the topic, and really it was very successful, and I re-energized myself into the right direction. No? But I would say
Yeah.
that this is an important advice for young executives wanting to do an impact, that they need to have this balance, no? And self-awareness on the level of stamina you have and how much energy you
Mm.
can put, and you need to renew the energy.
Yeah, that's wonderful advice. If I'm interested to know for you when you were going through that, what would have been most helpful for your leaders or anyone around you? Is there anything that when you were going through that sort of burnout that you think back and you think, if I had heard that, or if I had been led in that way, or if I had known that myself, what would have helped you to potentially not burn out when you were going through that?
Um, I think that first of all, when you are in a startup mode, it's very difficult for the leader to detect this type of situation. No, and in fact, it's a bit. Sometimes it can look even a bit counter beneficial for the company. No, you are really in a very fragile situation as a company, and then you need all the hours, all the effort that everybody can bring. No? So, but I think that the good leader needs to be a bit above this and needs to have direct view, but also indirect channel view to get understanding of how many hours every person is putting, how many effort, any specific behaviors that you see that maybe the people are more in tension, or they are a bit more under stress. No, there are signals that shows this. No? For sure, I think the people management role is very important to be able to detect this. But I think it's something that leaders they need not only to focus on the outcome. No? At the end of the day, they need to have this one-to-one conversation. How do you feel? Do you feel okay? I see you a bit tired. Why? Take a rest. Um, Revise the scope of responsibility of everybody as well, because probably depending on how you design the responsibility of somebody, this will lead to overwork, and a bit of overwork. There is no issue, no, but constant overwork for a period of time, it creates negative stress, no, distress,
Yeah.
and really this should be avoided, because you are burning the person, and then you will lose a very valuable employee, a very valuable leader for your organization. So I would say this, no, that there are
Yeah.
several elements that can be done even in a startup, even if you are in a startup mode. When you are in multinational mode, that you have much resources, I think it's much easier to have the resources and infrastructure to detect this and prevent these situations. I would say, no.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you kept growing in your career, are there any moments that were aha moments? Any turning point moments where you learnt things that were very very important for you as a leader, that became things that you've never forgotten yet since then in your career? Are there any moments like that stand out, Shorty?
Yes, yes, sure. I will point out a couple of aha moments. No, I would say the first one was when I decided to switch from this company that yeah, at that moment where we started 40, when I left we were already 400, and and now it's a 10,000 people company. So it really we did something good, and I did several roles there as an organization. But when when I revised a bit my career, I was like 29 years old. I had already done a lot of roles inside that company, And I said, okay, what I'm missing, no, to keep learning. And then I realized that I needed to incorporate this multinational, ideally corporation type of knowledge, no, much more developed, much more professional, much more, let's say, rich in terms of learnings from a different perspective, no, and for me this was an aha moment and say, okay, I really need to complement myself with this perspective, the corporate type of perspective. No, and at that moment I had the opportunity to join HP, Hewlett
Mm-hmm.
Packard, and it was hyper interesting times because there were like 3 months after I joined, there was the merge with Compaq, so you can imagine the whole dimension of the topic. And there I had very good experiences, both in supply chain first, and then in sales strategy, sales operations afterwards. No? And I would say the second aha moment
Yep.
in that company, and is maybe a double aha type of, no, is it was because I was working in supply chain the first 4 years in HP, very important supply chain, spare parts, supporting businesses of billions there and doing a very big transformation. But there was an aha moment which, hey, this is not the core of HP. And the advice here and the learning was you need to be closer to the core of the company if you want really to have an impact to the company. No? And then I really moved towards sales strategy, no, about IT. It was IT strategy, information technology strategy, and this was really a kind of aha moment. And um, and then I had the chance to be the right hand, like the chief of staff and business planning and control manager from a super top executive there that was having a quota of 9 billion and was managing the whole strategy for the whole sales of HP in IT services in EMEA. And then this was for me another big aha moment, which is, wow, this is what is to be a real executive, no? How to influence an organization, how to lead
Mm.
directly and influence the organization, stakeholder management, hyper complex topics, very complex go-to markets, and uh, and how to lead leaders. No, really, because the person was a top person at a very high position. Then afterwards, he has been a president of HP in several areas, and really, it was my mentor. I'm still in contact, and he's a super top person, super top, hyper assertive, and a highly
Mm.
motivational person. Really, I learn a lot, and I'm trying to mirror the person in many aspects while bringing my own capabilities, no? Especially in the last 10 years. No? So that
Yeah.
was really an aha moment, and I say, wow, I have a good reference model there.
Yeah. Are there any stories that come to mind from working with this leader that you've just talked about, working with him, where for some reason it's really stuck with you about how he dealt with the situation or how he encouraged people through something, how he dealt with a mistake? Anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, yeah. There were a lot, no, but maybe I would comment maybe a couple. A first one was, I really, as a red hand, I was I was sent by him as a kind of preparing the ground, no? With other executives reporting into him and how to organize the whole thing. And this trust that he was giving me to really prepare the ground and by knowing him also to coach executives that maybe they were in I don't know, vice president level type of coaching these persons to be able to explain the right things in the right way to this leader. For me, it was like I'm acting as a bridge, no, and I'm really assertive. I was really developing myself in the right way, and then I was being able to participate in the whole meetings, and I could do a kind of self-feedback loop on my side, whether I had been doing it correctly or not. No? And maybe another situation in which I learn is how he was influencing. No? At that moment, I will not explain the country, but the president of HP in one of the countries was asking advice for to this person on whether to choose one person or the other for as his successor for the country. No? So big roles, and my mentor was advising on who to take and why and so on. No? And these conversations were very interesting. No? On how to what is expected from a top executive. No? At
Yeah.
least in that company. No? So I was really a kind of insider view, and I really learned. I think I moved to the next level during that period, really.
That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you for sharing those stories. Is there, what did you learn about what to look for when hiring or looking for people to step into really high level, a lot of a big burden of responsibility? What did you learn, and what have you learned since about what to look for when hiring people into those sort of roles around you?
So first of all, let me say that in the past I committed a lot of mistakes. It's very difficult to really hire for the best, no? And I would say before going to the question is really the frame and how thorough you are in the whole process is essential. So hiring, for me, hiring and onboarding, especially hiring, is one of the top roles of the top executives. This is essential. A bad hiring can do so much damage in the organization, while a good hiring can be so much good to the organization. So I would encourage everybody to invest the right time to do the right hiring. And then from what I'm looking, I would say that first of all, I'm looking for a person I can work with, for a person that has integrity and has, let's say, a common sense approach to the topics, that do not follow on radicalities, but at the same time has the passion and the perseverance to change things, to evolve things, to improve things. No? So balance is important on one side. A track record of achievements, and it can be very different type of achievements. Can be results-driven achievement, can be people-growing achievement. I think this is also very important. Particularly, I would prefer, or I like, no, also to have the right combination between the person with that showing potential, but a rational patience, let's say, because in the past one of the errors I had was like hiring somebody that looked super potential, but at the end of the day, he has a kind of an egoist DNA, no? And I think that sometimes you need to look for people that are a bit more humble, that put the organization in front first versus their own interests, no? And so we need to look for people that really federates, or at least this is one of my priorities, federates the team, no? That brings the positive
Yeah.
energy and
Mm-hmm.
makes it easier to work, no? For the organization.
Yeah, that's great,
For sure,
Jordi.
it depends a bit on the business culture. It depends on the business culture of the companies, but at least I believe that in the future, and at least in the companies I had the pleasure to work for, this is what is more important.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Well, I want to jump into Leadership Express and ask you a few questions. So let's jump into that. First question: what's a book that you've gifted to other people?
Okay. Only about leadership or about any other topic?
Yeah, any topic.
Um, okay, let me share two books at least. One will be without leadership, not topic on leadership, but I would strongly recommend a book that is called Contagious. Um, this is a book that explains why some things become viral, no? And it's a book about the reasons that are underlying these movements of virality across the organization, no? Or across inter-organizations, across the society, and so on. And what's behind the book? No, at the end of the book, you will get a number of reasons of why some things get viral and some things doesn't get viral. But what is behind the book, what is implicit in the book at the end of the day, is like is how the human being behaves. No, is more a kind of psychological book. So I think you can get it like if you read it two, three, four times, like I've done. You can get like two, three, four layers of knowledge behind that book, and I think it's a very, very enriching book. No, and I've given as a present a couple of times.
Yeah, that's a
Um,
great recommendation. Sorry, keep going.
and yes, and the second one, by the way, is uh, from a professor from Stanford, if I remember well, a marketing professor, and it's really a great book, great book. A second book that I had the pleasure to read a couple of times and to give as a present is What You Do Is Who You Are, from Ben Horowitz. That basically it's a book about stories about how some very special people, very special leaders, created a kind of business culture in the organizations that they led. No, and you can find organizations like slaves, no, in some case, to organizations like in gangs of jails, to organizations, more typical organizations that we may know. No? And and for me, the most revealing topic is that for sure culture will be created. If you do it unconsciously, you will create a culture. If you do it consciously, you will create another culture. But what culture is not something that is written in a paper and put on a on a place where everybody can read. No, the culture is what you do, is how you as a role model and the rest of your leadership teams as role
Mm,
model uh, bring to the organization. And this is about actions. It's not about what you say. It's about actions.
yeah.
And the most interesting topic is that you can design culture, and every organization has different cultures. Some of them are by accident, but some other very successful organizations they have very consciously designed the culture to happen in that way. You know?
Yeah.
So I think this is something. This is a very interesting book about how to lead and how to create and influence the culture of your organization.
Yeah, they're great recommendations. Thank you for those. Uh, let me ask you another question. Are there any movies or TV shows that have really impacted you as a leader?
Um, yeah. I like really two different TV shows, which I found very interesting. One is the one from Mark Lemonis. Maybe you know the person. The person was successful in developing one business for himself, and then he brings some kind of investment to high theoretically high potential type of business, more oriented to franchise, but some high potential business. And then he not only put the money, but he is also coaching, taking ownership for 1 or 2 weeks or whatever from the business and really doing the change, no? And how he very straightforward does the change, influence, and so on.
Mm,
I think this
yeah.
is like a high impact leadership, no? Really high impact leadership. And then there was another one which is I don't remember the name, but apparently there is a one guy that had been a very successful entrepreneur, has created a kind of billion euro company type of, but the guy says, okay, I will start from scratch, and then he takes a plane that leaves him in some place in I don't know, in the north of US, in one state there, that he doesn't know anybody, he doesn't know the city, he doesn't know anything. He is forbidden to get any contacts to leverage money. He just is given like $100, a small truck, and from there he needs to build a kind of $3 million valued business in less than, if I remember, 1 month or 3 months. I don't remember. And the guy, he does it, or he almost does it. No, I'm sorry for the spoiler. So how he moves from zero, literally from zero to something. No, and
Yeah,
really this is about connecting the dots, entrepreneurial spirit, and so on. And
that's amazing.
you can imagine, no, that the willing, it's like magic, no? It's the the willingness, the capacity, the connecting the dots. The guy is a superstar in connecting with people and making things, and he's not afraid of starting from scratch. It's like repeating the same pattern, step by step, step by step, step by step, and
Amazing.
overcoming challenges. No? It's
Yeah,
amazing. It's an amazing problem. Super, super nice.
yeah,
Super,
that's a
super.
wonderful. They're great ideas. Last question: if you could only give one piece of leadership advice to a young leader, what would you say?
Um, that's a. Let me think 1 second, no? Because this is a very important topic, and also I feel the lot of responsibility.
That's right.
Um,
Take your time.
I would say use your common sense, listen more than talk, ask questions, and take the decision with the mind, apply it with your heart, and be a good person. Be a good person, and help others grow. If you help others grow, you will grow, and it's probably the most fulfilling, let's say,
Mm.
feeling that you can have. No, see others grow, and you
Yeah,
grow with them, and this will bring you to the next position. This will help you in your career at the end, and
yeah,
bring results for
that's
sure.
great
Huh? But
advice.
this is for granted. This is for granted.
Wonderful advice. So, for those who've really enjoyed getting to know you a little bit on this podcast, is there anywhere online or LinkedIn or Twitter that you're active and people can follow you or find you on there, Jordi?
Yeah, yeah. They can find me on LinkedIn. In the past, I used to have a blog, but I discontinued it some years ago. But I was written on growth, on business growth, mainly a bit on leadership, a bit on efficiency, and yeah, I think they can contact or see me on LinkedIn, and if they need anything or they want to send me an email, feel free. No issue. I will be happy to answer.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, I want to thank our listeners for tuning in. This has been, I've just enjoyed it so much getting to hear some of Jordi's story and wonderful anecdotes and some great leadership lessons. It's been a real joy. Don't forget, for our listeners, I also have the John O'White Leadership Podcast and the Leadership Question of the Day podcast, which you can check out if you want to invest in your leadership. But I want to finish today by saying a massive thank you to Jordi for coming on and being so generous with your time. And yeah, thank you for sharing some of your story. And it's been such a joy to have you on.
It has been my pleasure, Jonathan. Thank you very much, and I wish Monday in Australia is as good as Sunday in Barcelona today. So thank you very much, John, and keep in touch.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode of the Leadership Conversations podcast as much as I did. If you're joining us for the first time, don't forget to check out consultclarity.org. That's our website, consultclarity.org. We have so many free resources on there, including our 7 Questions on Leadership series. We've had more than 1,500 leaders from all over the world in all different roles, in different industries, answer these 7 questions on leadership, and leaders give these in-depth answers around how they spend their time, a book that's been significant for them. It's just a gold mine. It's completely free to access, so go to consultclarity.org and look for that. We'd also love to interview you about your leadership. I believe your experience, your life, your context means that you have advice on leadership that other leaders can learn from. Yes, you, if you're going, not me, well, no, I really believe you would have something to add. So if you're looking for a way to give back, it's completely free to get involved. And we would love to interview you through the 7 Questions on Leadership. You just go to consultclarity.org/7-questions-interest, or Google consultclarity.org 7 questions interest and fill out the form and get involved. We have a free resource on our website called the Leadership Survival Guide. It's a 57-page ebook, 10 world-class leaders giving their thoughts on leadership, and that's completely free. It's available on our homepage, consultclarity.org, right at the top, so make sure you go and get that and download it today. And we have a free daily email that you can subscribe to. We send this out to over 15,000 leaders from around the world. And it contains the highlights of content from our podcasts, our blogs, our books we're reading. It's got the best content, and it gives you exclusive, limited, early access to our masterclasses, workshops, new products, special offers. It's all for our subscribers. You can go to consultclarity.org/subscribe and join 15,000 other leaders. And you know, my gift to you is to work really hard, particularly through the Leadership Conversations podcast. I have been blown away by the quality of the leaders, and I'm learning as much as anyone in doing these interviews. So I'm having a great time. And my gift to you is to keep lining up the best leaders I can to invest in your leadership. Your gift to me, if you're finding this helpful, there is something that you could do that would help us out massively. And that is to write a review and to leave a rating for our podcast or wherever you're watching or listening to this. I can't tell you how much that helps us out. Also, subscribe or follow. It really does make a difference in helping us to help more leaders become everything they're meant to be. Another thing that means a lot to me personally is when I see our community share our content. So if you do share this or any other piece of content on social media, then thank you, and please do that. And look for me, Jono White, or Clarity, and tag us in your post. Our team is always looking for posts to engage with from our community, and there's also a chance that we'll share your content to go beyond and share it with our followers. Last of all, you can check out my book. It's called Step Up or Step Out: How to Deal with Difficult People Even If You Hate Conflict. I wrote this book because 50% of the coaching sessions I have with leaders, this topic comes up again and again and again. And it's this idea of, how do I have this difficult conversation? How do I lead this person better when I'm finding them difficult? Or in some cases, you look and you say, I think I might be leading a difficult person. They're just quite difficult to lead, or I'm finding them quite difficult to lead. So there's a 3-step process that I unpack in Step Up or Step Out. And the amazing thing, and I've literally done this myself, and I've heard it anecdotally from other leaders as I've coached them, is that if you follow this process, you will see that person step up and change their behavior or make a decision, which is to step out some of the time. 95% of the time, people will step up or step out in just 4 weeks. And I stand by that. It's you have to read the book to understand, but I really do believe in it, and I've experienced it firsthand. It works. So you can go to Amazon, look up Step Up or Step Out Jono White, or store.consultclarity.org/book. Well, thank you so much for listening. We're going to be back with a new episode next time of the Leadership Conversations podcast. And I hope today has helped you to take another step towards becoming the leader you're meant to be. See you next time.